items. So you should have heard that. We are recording this webinar for your viewing for later, or if you happen to join in late and you want to catch up, we will have this available. Again, thank you everyone for joining this morning. Looking forward to talking and hopefully giving you some more tools and resources as you're visiting with clients. We know this is an extremely busy time for you all, and you're under kind of a deadline with March 15th looming. So wanted to make sure that if there were some additional questions still out there, that we could hopefully clarify anything, any concerns, any points of interest. When you received our invitation, you noticed that there was an option, an opportunity for a $250 Cabela's gift card. So again, that was thank you for pre-registering. We did have a little bit of a glitch, and those of you that initially registered early, it was not collecting your address. So we will be following up with all participants today to confirm we have your correct mailing address. Again, that is you're eligible if you are actively selling crop insurance in an applicable county and you join us live this morning. There is a brief 3-question survey at the end of today's webinar. If you could just answer those 3 questions to kind of ensure that you were here and listening to Gary this morning, that would be great. And with that, we are at 8:31 and I will turn it over to you, Gary.
Thanks, Megan. And we are going to go over the post-application coverage endorsement. This is a new endorsement this year. And the entities that were involved with PACE included the developer, Ag Analytics, and that primarily is Josh Woodard, or Josh Woodard is the leader of that group. The supporting organizations for PACE were Agree and Meridian, which are 2 environmental groups, and National Corn Growers and Illinois Corn. So those groups came together to put forward this post-application coverage endorsement. The idea behind this endorsement, or the impetus for it, was that we have heard that many farmers are concerned about relying heavily on post applications of nitrogen, and that some of that is a financial concern. Insurance is a perfectly good alternative for mitigating those concerns. So that's why those groups brought it forward. And again, moving nitrogen later in the year will have environmental benefits. So the environmental groups are concerned with that, as well as Illinois Corn, because of our concern with meeting our nutrient management strategy. Our sponsoring crop insurance companies are Country and Crop Risk Services. So we appreciate those services here, and those crop insurance companies, and working through all of the many details that are associated with a new endorsement. We do have a poll question for you, and I'm going to ask that right now if I can figure out how to do this. So I'm launching a poll, and so and Megan, can you confirm that the poll is up? We got people asking it, so we are going to ask this poll, and if we're going to give you a few minutes, and then we'll show you the results, and just to see what the interest of that is out there. And we do have this poll up here, Megan, right? So it's moving forward. So we have. All right, I am going to end the poll now because most of you have answered it. And I'm going to share the results. Hopefully you're sharing the results. Have your clients asked about PACE? 73% said yes, 27% said no. And do you foresee for selling policies including PACE this year? 44% said yes. 56% said no. So we appreciate your responses to those questions, and that'll give you a feel for the interest that is out there. All right, so I'm going to move on next. What we're going to do today is first talk about the product description, go over the PACE claims process, and then we're going to illustrate or show you where you can download a fast tool that will give you premiums and the indemnity payment when those payments occur. So that's our outline for today, and we're going to begin here with the product description. So the post-application coverage endorsement provides payments if you cannot apply nitrogen after planting, and it has to be because of weather-related reasons. Crop insurance always is based on weather or natural causes. The same has to be true this year. It can't be a supply issue. PACE is like an event insurance, so it's like hail. The final yield does not matter. It's whether or not you can apply nitrogen or not during the post-application period. If you cannot apply to the nitrogen during that period, PACE will make a payment. That payment is fixed, and people will know, or your insureds and crop insurance agents will know what that payment would be if it happens at sign-up time. So after we know the projected price for this coming year, we can tell you what the payments will be from this product. Again, final yield does not matter. This is available for the combo product. So RP with harvest price exclusion, and YP. The key difference here between those three selections is that if you select RP, or the insured and selects RP, there is a chance that that guarantee will increase if the harvest price is above the projected price. So those are the basics of it. Here is the pilot area. So you see the pilot area listed there. RMA, when this pilot rolled out, wanted to limit the area because it is a new policy. The pilot was actually proposed to be in all those states. The pilot was limited to 30% of the insured acres, and we picked counties that got that area. There's nothing about the area outside those pilot areas that would prevent them from being part of the pilot. We had to pick counties that aggregated together to make those 30%. So hopefully, and most likely, this pilot will go forward, and in 2023 will be larger. And again, there had to be a choice of the counties in which was offered to meet the criteria that no more than 30% of the insured acres were allowed for PACE. This slide also shows green to red, and those are the load factors used by PACE, and they give you a feel for PACE, the PACE rating of the probability of not being able to make a post application. So those range from 4% up to above 10%. I would also know that those are loaded, so the actual probability of that happening is that they that those are a bit high compared to what will actually happen. I'm going to run through a 2022 example, and I'm going to do this for LaSalle County, Illinois. The projected price we're going to use, and again, this is key for determining both the premium and the payments, is $5.80, and we're going to use a trend adjusted yield of 220 bushels per acre. Again, both of those will matter. What the farmer will have to decide, and those decisions will be made by March 15th, and again, they would have to choose the combo product, RP with harvest price exclusion, and YP. But by March 15th, they will have to indicate the total N to be applied for the year and the post-application percent. So a farmer would provide, they're going to plan on providing 200 pounds of actual N for the year, and 40% of those are going to be post-planting or during the post-application period window. So the key number there is 40%, and again, the total N applied also has to be provided. The other decision that a farmer is going to make is the unit, and there is a decision here that we will come back to, but the units on PACE are enterprise, basic, and optional, and we will come back to that. The unit does influence the amount of the premium, and again, we will come back to that decision in a slide or two later. The farmer will also, or the insured will also have to choose their coverage level. And here I'm giving an example of a 90% PACE coverage. You can think about that PACE coverage as the same as a protection factor on any of the area plans, as well as ECO and SCO. That's range from 75 to 90%. And the higher than the percentage, the higher the premium and the higher the indemnity payment when it occurs. Given the choices we've seen in this example, the farmer paid premium would be $2.82 per acre. Again, that's based on a 40% post-application percent. Those can range from 25% to 80%. Higher the post-application percent, the higher the premium and the higher the PACE indemnity. So our example here is $2.82. And our payments of post-application cannot be made as $69 per acre. So that is known. That, by the way, is a minimum number. If RP is chosen, it could go up if the harvest price is above the projected price. So the RP version of PACE has a minimum and then it can go up. Those values will be known. So that $69, that minimum guarantee is known at March 15th. And if we are not able to make a post-application percentage, we will have a indemnity payment equal to that amount. So I'm going to come through and answer and sort of go through the decisions that a farmer has to make. Again, they will have to report the post-application percent. And that, I give an example of how that's calculated. Let's say we have a farmer with 200 that's going to apply 200 pounds of actual N, 120 pounds in fall, 80 pounds in post-application. That individual would have a 40% post-application percent. The higher the amount that's applied post-plant, the higher that percentage. So that is I guess, a decision that a farmer would make. It is dependent on the amount of nitrogen that is going to be post-applied. Again, those post-application percents can range from 25% to 80%. And higher percentages, higher post-application percents have higher premiums and higher indemnities when those indemnities happen. The individual will also have to choose the PACE coverage level, and that ranges from 75% to 90%. Both of those will influence the payment, or excuse me, the premium and the indemnity payment. So here I've got an example of our 40% post-application percent. If we choose a 75% PACE coverage, we have a farmer paid premium of $1.15 and a $57 PACE indemnity if it happens. On the other end, if we go all the way up to the high end, 90%, $282, we have a PACE indemnity of $69. So the post-application percent and the PACE coverage level impact both the premium and the PACE indemnity. The other decision that farmers, insureds can make is the PACE unit, and that does not have to be the same as the combo product. If an individual uses enterprise units for the combo product or the RP, they can choose enterprise, basic, and optional. So there would be three options. Enterprise, all of one crop in a county. They can break it down by basic or optional units. If the insured uses basic units for the RP unit, then they can choose basic and optional units. And for optional units, they only have the option of optional units. There is an option not to insure all basic or optional units. So if a farmer is not going to apply post-application on the majority of acres within that unit, they can elect out of the post-application percent. So if they have a unit, an optional unit that is not going to have a post-application made to it, while another unit, optional unit, is being made a post-application percent to it, they can choose to insure that post-application unit or the optional unit that has the post-application percent. Again, the insured can make that decision. So they have that option. If you have two enterprise units in two different counties, like all crop insurance products, you can insure one and not the other. Crop insurance is PACE is like the other crop insurance products, a county level decision. So one of the items that is made is the unit, or is the unit. So we can choose enterprise, basic, and optional units. That choice does not influence the PACE indemnity payment. So I got a line, the yellow line there, 40% post-application percent. 282 is the farmer paid premium at the enterprise unit, 372 at the basic and optional unit. If the insured uses basic and optional units, they will have a higher premium. And the reason why the premium is higher is because of the subsidy levels at basic and optional units, and though that subsidy level is lower than at enterprise units. Note that depending on the choice that is made does not influence the indemnity payment or the per acre indemnity payment when they are made. Again, it's just the premium that's influenced by the enterprise, basic, and optional unit, and that's a subsidy item. All right. All right, and Don, going back, if you use EU units, you will have to assume if a farmer chooses to insure enterprise units, all acres in that enterprise unit are covered. If they choose basic units and they decide to insure this one basic unit, all acres in that basic unit are covered. PACE does not offer the election to break out basic units or optional units into acres that will receive post-application percents and those that aren't. The only option is to choose which existing basic and optional units can be insured. So let me just go through here, see if let me see here. We have a question. If you have a lot of wind damage and the farmer is unable to apply N with wide drop, will PACE play? All right, if the wind damage prevents application, that's a weather-related applicable in that percent. I think I've answered a lot of the other questions. The premium that is subsidized, the rates that those premiums are subsidized are listed, are the same as for enterprise, basic, and optional units in other cases, and they are listed more explicitly in a Farm Doc Daily article that we will show later on in this section. So I'm going to talk about making a claim now. So we purchased the product. Now we're going to talk about the claim. The farmer initiates the claim process. If the farmer does not do anything, there will not be a claim. So the farmer will indicate that they were not able to apply post-application nitrogen and the number of acres that they were unable to post-apply to. In the actuarial documents, there is a window for making post-applications that depend on the planting date. And that can vary by county, but an example here is May. If we plan on May 1, then the window is expected to be June 1 through June 22nd. A farmer can apply nitrogen before that window, and they can apply nitrogen after that window. If they make applications, post-applications, they will not have a claim, but they are most definitely allowed to make applications before and after that window that's listed in the actuarial documents. What will be provided to crop insurance companies is weather analytics between those dates. So And those weather analytics will say, yes, there was an issue with there could have been an issue with post application during those dates, or no, it was clear and there wasn't a widespread weather problem related to those dates. A claim is going to receive scrutiny if weather analytics indicate that weather did not exist, if adverse weather did not exist. In this sense, PACE will be somewhat like prevent plant in its application. If all the insureds in the acre have been prevented from planting, then those claims will receive less scrutiny. If one individual has a claim and no one else does, then that claim will receive scrutiny. So that's the basic way that the claim will work. The farmer will make the claim that they weren't able to post apply nitrogen, and there's this window in which weather analytics will be provided to the crop insurance company. The claim has to be because of weather related causes. It can't be because of there isn't nitrogen in the area. That issue has come up this year. I would suspect that that won't be an issue, nitrogen supply, but who knows, given the supply issues that we've seen this year. The farmer will indicate the number of acres that were not being able to post apply. In my example here, we have 10 acres. You'll take 10 acres times that $69, in this case, minimum payment, and that payment will be $690 per acre. Or excuse me, $690 for that claim. So that is how this process will work. Again, final yields don't matter. It's like a hail insurance. There will be 2 checks made on payments. One is a post-application percent, and this is to see if before applications or before planning cause a lower post-application percent. What that check is preventing individuals from doing is indicating a higher post-application percent than they actually occurred, and then coverage does not exceed a deductible when RP makes a payment. The check for the post-application percent will be as follows. The farmer will report total in application and declared post-application percent. The final percent will be lowered if pre-applications exceed approved yield times 1.2 times 1 minus the declared application percent. 1.2 gives a lot of buffer. Most recommendations would be for lower nitrogen applications than that percent. So this provides a buffer for that post-application percent. And let me just give you an example here. The farmer had reported 200 pounds of unexpected. 40% was the declared post-application percent, and we have a 220 trend adjusted yield. If the farmer applied 120 pounds pre-plant, which would be what the plan was, then the limit in this case is 158 pounds. 120 does not exceed that limit, and therefore the post-application percent is not lowered. So in this case, there is no adjustment. In most cases, there will be no adjustment. So here we have a question. If the farmer applies nitrogen after V10 because weather prevented them from applying before this, and they apply nitrogen with an airplane, will they be able to collect on PACE? The answer to that, I believe, is no, although we've got to work our way through it. The minute a farmer makes a post-application percent, the way I would read the rules would be that they no longer have a PACE claim. I would also note that they do not, after that window also have to try and get it on. So in that sense, it's like the final plant date on prevent plant. I reached this date, I can make a claim. I no longer have to try and get the nitrogen on. If I choose to put it on, I can put it on, but I won't also be getting a post-application claim. There also will be, we also have, does this follow the 2020 rule or does it begin on acre 1? I would, that it begins on acre 1. All right. The other thing that we have to check is if there's a deductible limit. And this is a lawyer issue. Crop insurance is not to make make payments of where the individual is made more than whole. If RP or RP, HPE or YP pays, then the PACE payment cannot exceed the deductible. And that deductible is 1 minus, I'm using RP as the coverage choice here, 1 minus the RP coverage level times the guarantee times acres. The item in red is the one that need to look at to see if this limit comes into play at all. I'm going to give an example where the choice was 85% coverage level. So there would be a 15.15 deductible. We have our 220 guarantee yield and 570 projected price. The deductible limit would be $188 per acre times the insured acres. That $188 per acre, you do know the potential PACE indemnity. If we look at those potential PACE indemnities, the one where there's a potential for reduction is at the 80% level, where the PACE indemnity is $207 per acre. In that case, the farmer could not get all the payment on all insured acres. It will be limited to $188 if all insured acres are unable to apply nitrogen. If we're below that, the limit does not have any impact. So in the examples that I'm looking at, the 75% coverage level, the 90% coverage level, the only one where that would be a concern, it's at the 80% post-application percent and a 90% PACE coverage level. So that is where this limit may come into play. We want to give you a feel for the post-application. We have a tool on here on our FAST website. You can download it and it will give the premiums and the indemnity payments. You get to our, and I'll show you how to get there. You can download this FAST tool or you can download the spreadsheet here. If you choose download the spreadsheet here, it's going to download the spreadsheet. If you choose download the FAST tool, it's going to put it on a specific directory and put a shortcut on your Windows or your main window. So that's the difference between the two alternatives. You get that by going to our FarmDoc website, go to tools, and then go to post-application coverage endorsement tool. So go to tools, crop insurance tools, post-application coverage tool. You get some linkage there. By the way, we will, if you want these PowerPoints, we will make them available to you. If I can figure out, I might just drop it in the window here after I'm done speaking. You download that again from that website. This is what it will look like. You'll get the post-application coverage endorsement tool. It's a very simple spreadsheet. You make the choice between state, county, unit. Let me just go through the choices you'll make. We will choose, you can choose the state and county. Only the states and county where this PACE endorsement exists will be listed. You will list the unit, basic, optional, and enterprise. Again, that will influence the premium, underlying policy level, APH yield, base price, and the price coverage level election. So all of those things are available. And then this is what you will get. We'll give you a set of 90% PACE coverage elections, and it will give you the farmer paid premium and the PACE indemnity payment. So that is what that tool will do. It's available on the FarmDoc website. We also have this tool here, or this FarmDoc Daily, which largely describes what I just described here today. So that new resource is available. And I just dropped in the PACE, the presentation that I just did today. And you should be able to download that if you want to have it. And if you can't get it on that website, send me an email. Send Megan and I an email and we'll get it to you. So let me see. I'm going to go through some of our questions here, and if you got some more, by all means, get them. If you, and I think I might have answered some of these, but we'll make sure I go through them. I'm done with my presentation right now. I don't know, Megan, we got done in a half an hour. If you want to, I'm going to answer questions, but if you guys need to move on with your life, I think that's okay too. Right, Megan?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'll make a couple of quick comments before we jump into Q&A in case we have some people that need to jump off. So one thing that we are doing, Gary did a nice job of teeing this up and talking about how, especially for Illinois corn, we're very committed to meeting the goals of the Illinois nutrient loss reduction strategy. And we really feel like this tool can play a part in that. And so we do want to make sure that not only are you as agents prepared, but also we get some excitement in the countryside. So we did work on a mailing. There's a postcard that is going out and it should be hitting growers' mailboxes anytime between now and the next couple of weeks. We sent it out to over 50,000 farmers in the applicable area. So you guys might be starting to receive more questions, but wanted to let you know that did go out with some resources and places for them to find some more information as well. So again, thank you. Feel free to reach out to Dr. Schnitkey. Again, FarmDoc's great. Reach out to us at Illinois Corn. We're happy to help answer questions and help you be successful with this product.
And we have a couple questions here on FarmDoc. Do the FAST tool and spreadsheet include the administration fee? No, it does not. So the administration fee would have to be added to that. How soon do you need to turn in a notice of loss for PACE? I actually don't know the answer to that question, and I'll look that up, but as soon as possible after the date. What is an acceptable window to side dress? If there's 1 day, but the grower is too big to apply in that day, will the farmer get paid? An 80-acre guy could get done, but a 4,000-acre couldn't. I feel like there's a lot of gray area here. And yes, there is some gray area in this, and we're going to see how that all works. A large farmer that is unable to apply X number of acres while the rest were applied would be covered by this premium. So what is the time frame for indemnities? I think that depends on the crop insurance company and how fast they make their claims. Let me see, let me go. Would be great. I provided the spreadsheets. Does the 95% margin protection affect the deduct? That is a good question. We have a question here. Does the 95% margin protection affect the deductible limit? The actuaries will read, do not mention margin protection at all. I don't think we know the answer to that question. I will write that question down and get an answer to it. If a farmer applies nitrogen after read 10, so anytime the farmer makes an application the post-application percent would not be would not be made. And we have an answer to our question here. Thanks, Thad. Notice of losses within 72 hours after end of insurance period or 72 hours when physically prevented. Thank you for that answer.
And Gary, we do have a couple questions in the Q&A tab as well.
Yeah. Should the PACE be the same AIP as the underlying MPCI, or could I sell PACE to someone that has an MPCI with another agent? So PACE is an endorsement to, so this is different than a private product. So PACE is a RMA product. I would suspect that's a good question. I do not know the specific answer to this, but I suppose that you could switch AIPs. I'm not sure of that. I'm not sure of that, but that's a good question. I will have to look that one up as well. If units need to be covered and indemnity does not change, why would one choose optional over enterprise? So one would choose optional units over enterprise units for one reason. Optional units would be if a farmer has an enterprise unit, they would want to break it down into optional units if they don't use post-application on a number of acres. So that is why those situations would be. We have an answer to the question. One of our great responders, I won't mention their name, but their name is mentioned. Doug, thank you for answering this. You have to buy PACE from the same company that you bought your underlying policy. So there we have the answer, and Doug should know. So appreciate that. All right. What if an insured tries to game the system by waiting until after the post-app window then applies in, but has already been indemnified for the claim? I know this is fraudulent, but how will it be policed? That's a good question. So what we have is a person made the claim and then makes a post-application percent. There, I mean, that can happen. Hopefully it won't. There's nothing particularly in the documents that would prevent that at this point in time. Again, hope those things don't happen, and we will hope that those don't happen. What percent of farmers were unable to apply N in 2019? I have been polling my clients, and very few would feel comfortable not putting the nitrogen on even with a payment, given how high prices are. Many said they would fly it on if it came to that. Am I looking at that correctly? So we did a little analysis of 2019, and this is particularly with PCM data. And what we found is that about 15% of the fields that were in PCM did not make a post-application percentage that usually did, and usually did not apply what would be typically part of their nitrogen budget. So in that case, 15% of the acres in 2019. So this is a low probability event that post-application would present. The one thing that I would tell you about the PACE indemnity, so the question is, all right, so the farmers are going to put nitrogen on because of the high prices. And I would also tell you that if they buy RP, that that PACE indemnity will start with the projected price 570 to 580. And if the harvest price is above that, which would be implied by that, that premium is going to go up as well. And so if we have a higher harvest price, we will see that premium go up. Those are all very good questions.
So one other comment on that, Gary, to David's comment. So obviously for 2022, we're a little behind the gun on when we had final details come out from RMA and for growers to be setting up to be successful at this. But part of our thought and intent would be maybe we can get some growers who are historically very heavy fall nitrogen to be more apt to looking at doing an in-season split application. And so can we try and hedge them and maybe move them to that direction by giving them this tool and this risk management piece? And so, that's another thought on that as well. We'd also think about if it's truly that much of a weather problem to be getting some of this nitrogen on, we're probably going to be seeing other factors that are impeding our yield and our crop potential at that point too. So trying to look at it holistically and the whole big picture here and just how can we make this a part of a grower's mindset moving forward on being more comfortable with split application nitrogen.
Yeah, by the way, so just so we're clear, the premium is known. It will not go up with the harvest price. It's only the indemnity payment. In that sense, it's exactly like RP. RP will, the premiums, the indemnity payment has the potential to go higher if we have a harvest price above the projected price. The payment under PACE is based on a factor times APH yield times the higher of projected and harvest price. So as the harvest price goes up, so if the harvest price is above the projected price, the premium goes up. And then we got a bunch of questions. So the premium stays the same, the indemnity goes up. 75% versus 90%. So, if you look at it, it's all proportional. 75%, the premium, if you look at the 90% coverage level versus the 75%, both the premium and the payment go down proportionately. It really does come down, really comes down to what the farmer thinks about the risk level that they want to cover. So typically, here's a question. Typically, EU gives lower premium due to giving up some potential claims when all crop in a county is 1 unit, but the PACE does EU not have differ. So, all right, enterprise units, the per acre payment does not vary whether you choose basic, optional, or enterprise units. If it's $69 under a basic unit, it will be $69 under an enterprise unit. The only item that the unit influences in this case is the subsidy level. So it is unlike RP, where there's reduction in rates because of the aggregation of acres. That is not the case under PACE. The per acre indemnity is the same. Is it only in-season split application, or does split application apply to fall and side dress? All right, so the post-application percent assumes that you're going to be making a split application, and it is only covering the split application after planting. So it only covers up to 80% post-application percent. Some nitrogen is going on at planting or before planting, and this policy only indemnifies if the post-application period cannot be made.
So Gary, I think that question is more does a grower have to be putting it all, say, on in the spring versus can
No.
they? Correct. So part of it, you could do fall anhydrous, and as long as your plan was to come back with your percentage in season between that V3 and V10.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. All right. So a farmer this year put on 100 pounds of nitrogen fall application and plans on putting 200 on, and 100 of those are post after planting. So his post application would be 50%. He's already put the fall application on, and that's fine. In fact, this policy assumes that some nitrogen is going on pre the post application period. And so that individual would then have a 50% post application percent. And we would be insuring here with PACE the post application. If you are trying to encourage post application, then why not give a premium credit for post applying? Trying to figure that out. I'll have to think about that a while. We are giving this is crop insurance. There's a risk here. The risk is that you can't apply post nitrogen. RMA agreed that that was an insurable risk, and that's how this process came about. Are there any restrictions to form of nitrogen or practices used? No, there are no restrictions on how you do the post application. There's no restrictions on post on the form of nitrogen. It could be anhydrous ammonia, nitrogen solution, urea, any other form. Is it only in-season split application, or I think we answered that question already. And I think, Megan, did I get through all these questions? Do you think?
I think we got through them all. But the one I will say, Gary, backing up to the forms of nitrogen, we are looking primarily at the synthetic forms right now. So, you know, your biologicals and things like that, that's not part of what PACE is today. Again, a reminder, this is a pilot. We're looking for feedback, for geography, as well as what's working, what's not working, to hopefully finesse things going forward. But we think we've got a pretty good starting point.
You have mentioned, Megan, you had mentioned 3 questions at the end. Are you still doing those?
Those should pop up when the webinar ends. So when it ends, you should have a pop-up on your screen that'll have those 3. We'll be wrapping up here. So there's a question about corn grower and the discount on crop insurance premium. So I think Gary did a pretty decent job of framing that up in looking at the risk piece. So our information, our growers are telling us that their number one reason for not applying and split applying their nitrogen is because of fear of not getting it on. And so for us, finding a way that can be actuarially sound is really important for us. And so looking at it as that risk tool on what can we do to overcome the risk of not getting the nitrogen on. We know there's so many variables when it comes to what is that yield implication to nitrogen. Hybrids respond differently, different forms. There's so many variables and factors there. So looking at it from an event standpoint really right now makes the most sense. I can tell you that we are looking into other products and other things around the conservation space. We are also, not from an insurance standpoint, but I'm excited. Iowa is working on revamping the MRTN tool. So helping determine the proper rates that in a more robust way. And so we are continuing to do a lot of work in the nitrogen space. All right, and again, this was recorded. We will make sure the link is available to all of you that were registered. And again, feel free to email any additional questions. And when we end this, those 3 questions should pop up on your screen. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.